Just get going. Okay, apologize for the delay. The Facebook stream is not working, so it'll be just streamed on Zoom tonight. So we'll go ahead and call this regular meeting of the Nevada City Council to order. Today is Thursday, August 13th, 2020 at 6:13 p.m. Due to COVID-19, we have this meeting on Zoom so public can participate fully. And with that, we will go ahead and take a roll call.
Brian Hanson,
Here.
Jason Sampson,
Here.
Dane Nielsen,
Here.
Sandy Eric,
Here.
Luke Spence,
Here.
Barb Mittman,
Here.
Okay, so with that is approval of the agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Sandy, second by Luke. Any discussion on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, council please vote. And while they're doing that, if Marlis, I know you're listening, can you do a Facebook post to let folks know the Zoom link in case they would like to watch? Let them know we're having technical issues with the Facebook stream. Okay, there you go. She's already thinking ahead of me. So consent agenda, I know there was an amended item. Karen, did that get put in front of everyone? Yes, the minutes had a correction.
Move to approve the consent agenda with the corrected minutes.
Okay.
Okay, Luke and Barb, any discussion? Seeing none, council please vote.
getting it.
That technology is not working in the chambers.
I can do a roll call.
Sure.
Eric,
Yes.
actually, I was up on the other one. Okay. Spence,
Aye.
Mittman,
Aye.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Sampson,
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
So that is approved. Takes us into the public forum, which is time set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those listed on the agenda. No action may be taken. And we had no request for the public forum this evening. So we will go ahead and close that and move into old business with old business A, ordinance number 1012, 2020, 2021, an ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of Nevada, Iowa by amending the zoning classification of parcels of land owned by Charles E. Peebles and located within the corporate limits of the city of Nevada, Iowa from LC Limited Commercial District to R1 Low Density Single Family Residential District, second reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Dane and Jason, discussion?
Close enough. Have there been any other comments from people that live near there?
No, I have not received any.
Seeing no other discussion, we will go ahead and do a roll call.
We're going to try again.
Oh, they'll try the buttons.
So let's give it one more try.
Okay, and that passes. takes us to old business B, approved pay request number 5 for the Central Business District Infrastructure Project from Construct Incorporated in the amount of $456,831.25.
Move for approval.
Second.
Sandy and Dane, discussion? Seeing none. Council, please vote. That is approved. Takes us to item C, resolution number 8, 2020-2021, a resolution approving the construction drawings for West F Avenue Industrial Park Addition.
Move to approve. Second.
Luke and Jason, discussion? Okay, seeing none, council, please vote. That is approved. Takes us to item D, discussion appropriate follow-up on COVID-19. First item is opening of public facilities. Does anybody have anything to add there? Okay. Steady as she goes, I'm taking it. So that takes us to reconsideration of resolution number 9, 2020-2021, a resolution encouraging, or not reconsideration, this is a new one. Resolution number 9, 2020-2021, a resolution encouraging COVID-19 public health practices in Nevada, Iowa. So we will go ahead and bring that to the table.
Move to approve.
Is there my Barb discussion?
How do we go about getting this information out to the businesses down?
We can hand deliver them if you would like, or I can get emails from all the business owners and get those sent out. We can also put it on Facebook, any of our social medias. We can also talk to our website guy and see if he'll be able to put it up on our website.
Okay. When we talk about supporting the community statewide in the second to last paragraph for a statewide mandate by the governor, how are we, what are we doing in that aspect? Are we planning on taking?
As of right now, we haven't done anything because we haven't approved any of this, but I believe what other cities are doing is they're writing a letter of support to the governor and having the mayor sign it, or council members, depending on if it's a proclamation or resolution.
Okay.
I think we're also seeing them to the county boards. So if the counties want to do something that they know they have city support.
Further discussion from council?
Does this resolution make a way for us to consider opening public facilities at the next meeting? You want to give them a head start, or how much of a head start maybe?
Yeah, I think it could be a start. My suggestion is still to open it up during a certain period of time, like 10 to 2, like we were talking about before, so we have time to sanitize and clean everything.
Other comments? Is everybody comfortable with the statewide mandate? I know for me personally, not having access to the same level of expertise and information that the governor has, that concerns me a little bit. I'd be more personally supportive of local control for local decisions, but
Yeah, I'm going to vote no on this if that's in there, just to be perfectly clear. If that comes out, I'll vote yes on this, but everybody should be wearing a mask, and I've been pretty outspoken about that to anybody who will listen, and I know I've got friends irritated, tired of hearing me say it. Everybody should be wearing a mask, but I still don't think it's the job of the government to tell them they have to.
So if we did something with that, whereas to,
Yeah, if we could strike that. I mean,
or to just say county,
if what?
I mean, would you support the effort to, not to persuade, but would you support efforts of the Story County Board of Supervisors and under the direction of Board of Health? I mean, can we move it forward so that it's more regionalized at least?
Yeah, I mean, supports the effort to, I don't know how you would word that, but I mean, I certainly would say something to the effect of that, you know, if we would support the recommendations of the Story County Board of Health or something like that, where we're not saying you have to do this or you will face a penalty.
Right.
I mean, I would be less uncomfortable with something like that.
So if we support one and not the other, what's to say the county doesn't come out and mandate it, no different than the state? So we're kind of splitting hairs here. You know, we either support it or we don't. You know, we can say, okay, it's okay for the county to say you have to wear them, but it's not okay for the governor to say you have to wear them. I either think we're all in or we're all out. I mean, I guess know if we can just pick and choose one entity, because if you don't want to, if we're not comfortable with the governor telling us we have to wear masks, but we're okay if the county board of supervisors say we have to wear masks.
Well, or the Story County Board of Health. I mean,
It doesn't matter who it
that's
is.
our
I'm
best.
just saying,
That's our
if
best
somebody
piece of
mandates it,
information.
how do we pick what group we support and which one we don't?
I just think it's hard for us to know what the situation's like in Decorah or
Yeah.
Lennox or
Well, that's what
anywhere
I'm
else in the
saying.
state.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I guess some of it depends too on if counties are actually able to make such a mandate versus a recommendation. I'm looking at the attorney over here. I mean,
We need to make sure we don't have mandate in anything we
That's kind of what I'm,
more of a recommendation.
Yeah.
If they say, okay, we really want you to wear it, we can support that, because I'm on the fence with wearing them anyway. I do, you know, do I like it? No, but it's the smart thing to do, so I do. So do I want to be mandated? I'll wear it anyway. I just might not like it as much. I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard one for me.
It's a public health issue too. I mean, it's not, in my mind, it's no different than no shirt, no shoes, no service. So
That's a good point.
I think it's good statewide. People from outside the county are going to come into Story County, especially right now with so many people coming in to help, that I think it's good for a statewide mandate than just going to counties.
What if we take that whereas paragraph out, and if the governor or Story County does put something forward, then we can talk about writing a letter of support after they do that.
I'd rather do it now and try to encourage them to make that letter of support, because it seems like the state's not going in that direction right now. So I'd rather use this as our ability to try to lobby them to make that change.
Okay, so your suggestion would be to just update that for Story County rather than Governor Reynolds?
I'd rather we keep it the way it is right now.
Did you get any feedback from Dr. Gray?
I did. He didn't see any issues with that document at all. He said he was coming up with something similar as well.
Other discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
Brett gets a good decision.
Oh, jeez. I don't think I've ever seen this happen before. And have you ever seen it happen before?
Split?
Yeah.
Never. We usually, not since, I should say never, not since I've been on the board. That seems like a never, huh?
We're split literally left and right.
Welcome to the right wingers, Brian.
I'd say in light of that,
It's your lucky opportunity to vote.
Nay.
I'd say in light of that failing, we should still keep in mind what Jordan mentioned, that if this does happen anyway, I think the responsible thing for us to do is support whatever decision gets made, or at least discuss about supporting it. I know that part of me think we should be proactive. Maybe not so much. So I think we just need to keep our eye on it, see what the county, if the state does something, then we need to talk about supporting that decision for our community to fall in place, so to speak. I don't know if that's the right word, but so I'm sure, everyone keeps abreast of it. So we might have to talk about it again. It's changing pretty quickly, so it might change pretty fast for our next meeting. That's just my input on it.
Maybe one question for Aaron. So can it be reconsidered without that line that was the contentious one?
You voted it down. So if the folks that were our first and second want it to be reconsidered and are on the yes side of it, then yeah, it can be brought back forward.
Sure.
Yes.
I probably have to say something more than sure.
To clarify what you want
All right,
want your motion to be. So your motion to reconsider.
Yeah, I'll move to reconsider.
I'll second that. So what's it need to say? Mandate, the word mandate's a problem.
Do I have to make the?
Yeah.
But we're talking about bringing it down to the county level as opposed to the state, right?
And getting rid of the word mandate.
Get rid of the word mandate.
Because we kind of need the definition of how the face coverings and some of the information towards the end of that, whereas it is not in the therefore be it resolved. There's more specificity with what the letter might have said to Governor Reynolds than there is in our own resolution in the next.
If we threw that whole paragraph out, the smaller one, 2 paragraphs up, kind of addresses all that of the recommended practices for physical distancing and the use of shields and face masks.
Okay.
It might not go into
Could we add that clarification about over the nose and mouth and that kind of language? Could we like combine that with the 1-2 above it so that just clarifies?
because that just kind of states the recommended practices. So
Right.
if you think we need to add that, it's basically nose and mouth, that nobody at Walmart knows how to do that.
I was going to say
Gonna
walk
say,
around Walmart. I
that's-
feel fine people
I'd
who
like
don't know
to
how to
see
wear a
that.
mask.
I'd like to see that specificity.
I do my best to stay out of there, but. So that is, if we threw that paragraph out, the second one, 2 above that kind of addresses everything in the bottom of that, just not as specific. So we just have to decide if we
So can we
want
just
to make it
do,
more specific in that or not in that paragraph.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, clarify if I'm wrong, is we're going to remove the second to last paragraph, and then you'll have your therefore by the City Council of the City of Nevada, Iowa, that the city encourages everyone to social distance and wear face shields or cloth masks over the nose and mouth to be worn by all residents and visitors when inside a commercial entity or other building or space open to the public, or when in an outdoor public space, whenever it's not feasible to maintain 6 feet of social distancing from another person in the same household to aid in the reduction of COVID-19, and that those practices continue until substantial progress in curbing the spread of COVID-19 virus has been declared by public health officials.
What Aaron said.
Yeah, that? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so Luke, that's your motion?
Yeah, move as you stated.
you want to read it?
Come on, you got to repeat that word for word.
Do you need it, Karen?
We need a second on it. If there
I just
wasn't.
second. I can second this. Thought I already was doing that. Sorry. Well, I seconded.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still trying to fix the Facebook thing too. It's multitasking.
Would you read it one more time before we vote though? Or do you have it enough that you can read it back one more time?
Yeah, you want me to read it again?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we are, the resolution in front of you, we're striking the second to last paragraph. And it will now, the last paragraph will now read, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Nevada, Iowa, that the city encourages everyone to social distance and wear face shields or cloth masks over the nose and mouth to be worn by all residents and visitors when inside a commercial entity or other building or space open to the public, or when in an outdoor public space, whenever it is not feasible to maintain 6 feet of social distancing from another person in the same household to aid in the reduction of COVID-19 cases, and that these practices continue until substantial progress in curbing the spread of COVID-19 virus has been declared by public health officials.
Okay, discussion. Okay, then we will vote.
Spence,
Aye.
Pittman,
Aye.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Sampson,
Aye.
Harris,
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
And that passes. Takes us to new business A, resolution number 10, a resolution authorizing development agreement with Burke Marketing Corporation. I believe Chad is available. Switch windows here. Try to get that back open.
Good evening, Mayor Baker Barker. Good evening, City Council. Am I coming through okay via audio?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to take an opportunity here. Appreciate you allowing me to say a few words. We're kind of winding down with our project there at the Burke Corporation. Just really wanted to express my gratitude from the city officials and equally to the community for all the support we've received throughout our process. It's really been it's been quite an experience. I know the pain has been felt deeper than what's been brought to my attention. I really appreciate everybody's understanding as call it the pardon our dust statement there. Certainly want to call attention to the city administrators that I've been fortunate enough to deal with throughout this process with Matt and Karen and Rick and now Jordan. But certainly a special call to Mayor Barker and John Hall for your perseverance and assisting us all in coming to this point tonight. Quick update on the expansion. Right now, we've got our new wastewater process online. We're pleased so far with how that's operating. We do have access to the expansion freezer, and over the next 6 weeks, we'll be bringing various other pieces of equipment online. Our target date for we'll call it go live after testing's been completed is October 19th. To date, we've hired roughly 55 new team members, getting them adequately trained, and we'll continue to ramp up leading up to that go live date. We're excited to get settled in. Of course, I'm here to respectfully ask for your support of finalizing our agreement, but we'll also be happy to field any questions you might have on the expansion or any other topics related to Burke.
Council, anything for Chad? Okay, thank you, Chad. We're excited to finally have it at this point and have it in front of council. So with that, we will turn it over to them for a motion.
I'll move to approve resolution number 10.
Second.
Okay, Dane and Jason, further discussion. Seeing none, council, please vote. Okay, that is approved. And it takes us to New business B, resolution number 11, 2020-2021, resolution setting date for public hearing on designation of the expanded Nevada urban renewal area and on urban renewal plan amendment, expressing intent to provide economic development support to Mid-States material handling and fabrication and expansion projects. So John Hall will step up to the podium. And also, Karen, with that feedback, can you double check the mic setting and make sure it's on Zoom, make sure it's the right one and it's not pulling that camera one? Because we were having that feedback issue again. On your computer?
The mic's up.
No, on your computer, the Zoom setting for the microphone. It was just doing the feedback, so I wanted to make sure. Okay.
All right, you ready for me? All right.
Yep.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I know that this resolution setting a date for public hearing is on a number of urban renewal items, but specifically the Mid-States material handling and fabrication one. Looking for your support this evening as we are taking this to the State of Iowa's Economic Development Authority Board next Friday for approval of state incentives. For your information and for the public's information, they are doing a 40,000 square foot additional expansion. It's a 3.1 million capital expenditure, 9 new jobs, and they are seeking roughly 108,000 from the state of Iowa in additional assistance for this project. In addition, I know that you guys are certainly have a lot on your minds as you guys are leaning into a large conversation this evening. I did want to take a moment to just kind of note this moment as you guys are approving setting a date for public hearing for not only a new housing subdivision, not only Mid-States doing another expansion, their second expansion in 3 years. Additionally, a local contractor doing not only a facility for themselves, but also a small industrial land development, which to my knowledge is probably the first time a private developer's done that for industrial commercial lots here in this community. I mean, typically that would be something that you'd see the NEDC at the table trying to figure out how we fund that and make that happen. And then also your approval of the Burke development agreement tonight. This is a really historic council meeting for a lot of those items to be moving through. I do have to thank Jordan for really taking a lot of these issues by the reins and getting them pushed through. We've got more projects that are in the pipeline that I hope to be back to you guys in the next month or two on. So there's a lot of tremendously good things going on. Those items are going to continue regardless of how your conversation on the next on the item 2 from now goes. So I just wanted to reiterate that. Thank you guys for the time this evening. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Council, anything for John?
It's exciting. Good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, do we have a motion?
Move to approve resolution number 11. Second.
Jason, Dane? Any discussion?
I'd just like to thank John too. I think he's been doing a great job. We've seen so much growth since we partnership. It's been great. Hope it keeps going. Don't stop now.
I'll echo that. I'll echo that. The amount of things that have happened in 3 years is probably the envy of a lot of towns. You deserve a lot of credit for that.
And with that, council, please vote. That is approved. Takes us to item C, resolution number 12, 2020-2021. Resolution authorizing the filing of a sponsored project application with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources and the Iowa Finance Authority State Revolving Fund for the city of Nevada, Iowa.
Move resolution 12.
Second.
Barb and Sandy. Discussion. Okay, seeing none, council, please vote. That is approved. And I've tried about everything I know how to do on this, so afterwards we'll have Marlis download the video off Zoom and just upload it later so that anyone can watch. So that takes us to new business D, discussion appropriate follow-up on US Highway 30 interchange. So I do have a list here, so we'll go ahead and start with some public feedback and then move into council deliberation. So I have the list here, and before we get started, I know there's been some misunderstanding about the process, so I wanted to kind of recap where we've been for everybody that might be watching and for those who will watch later. So the DOT came to us at the end of June with a couple questions regarding Highway 30, which brought this topic back to the top of conversation. Right after that, we held a public work session with the council that was streamed live to go over that with them. This next Saturday, we had a public community coffee with our engineers and with the DOT to go over it then and get information out. And then we did a public forum on the issue and also met with a bunch of stakeholder groups in the meantime and have been collecting written and oral comments since. So the reason the public forum was on a separate date from tonight and encouraging as many folks as possible to speak in that was because myself and council felt it was important that they hear feedback and have time to do follow-up because that's one thing that we hear is on big decisions. They like to have time to think about it, ask questions, do follow-up and make sure they're making the best decision. So that's why we really encouraged anyone who had a comment to please speak at the public forum so they were able to do that. And then from there brings us to tonight with the agenda items. So anyone who did not speak in the public forum, we were collecting requests and whatnot. And so just like any other agenda item, we do have on there. So the public forum was unlimited. We didn't limit the number of speakers and everybody got 5 minutes. So not knowing what was gonna be on here tonight, speaking time was to be based on the number and type of request to speak. And so because of the number, we will allow everyone to have time tonight. We would ask if it is somebody or something that has been addressed to the council to please keep your comments brief and not rehash what was already done in the public forum. So council, does that sound accurate? Okay. So with that, we will go ahead and move to some public comment here. The first gentleman that requested did have surgery today and is unable to make it. So asked Sandy to recap some of his thoughts here in a bit. So we'll circle back to that when we start deliberation. So let me go to my attendees here. There they are. Don't see. There's some phone numbers on here. Karen, did anyone tell you other than because I do see David and Glenda logged in. Did Larry give you a phone number at all? Because I don't see his name.
Thanks.
Okay, then we will move on, and if we see him pop in, we will add him. So we will look for the next one on the list, which is Terry DeCarian. And I do not see Terry. So Larry or Terry, if you're there, raise your hand, and I will try to watch for you. This might be one of them, so let me see. Yeah. Okay, I did unmute the one marked Pro Book, so you should be able to unmute yourself if that's one of our speakers.
I'm sorry, that is me. I'm Larry Sloan.
Larry.
And I'd like to thank the City Council for allowing time for me and others to speak tonight. Mr. Mayor, council members, and staff, I'm frustrated that there are people in Nevada that don't understand that owning a building or a business is, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
I'm frustrated that there are people in Nevada that don't understand that owning a building or business is a gamble. We do our best to hedge against the odds as much as possible. We advertise, we do radio, television, we put up signs, we encourage word of mouth, we put our businesses where the travel is, we invest in upgrading our equipment, our businesses, and our buildings. In today's society, convenience is everything. If you don't think so, ask the businesses. Excuse me a minute. I've lost my notes, but that's okay. If you don't think that's convenience is important, talk to any of the businesses downtown. In today's society, if people can't get to them easily, they don't go. Ask them how their business has been since Main Street closed down the streets. You know, it's the construction. We understand that, and most of us, all of us, I think, agree that it's needed. And even after they were allowed to open the sidewalks and such, which was great, and we appreciate it, people still are inconvenienced and have to walk a half a block or a block, and they're not getting there. Ask any of those businesses how they're doing. Before US 30 bypassed Lincoln Way in the 60s, South Main Street really didn't go anywhere. When New 30 completed south of the city and Lincoln Way and Main Street were bypassed, the city fathers knew it was necessary to have a paved and improved direct connection to US 30. Over 50 years later, after struggling to overcome that obstacle, the businesses were devastated. After investing millions a few years ago to repair and renew the south end of Main Street, and immediately after spending millions of dollars to rebuild the sewage, water services, and upgrade the downtown business district, we find that our representatives are now considering removing that direct link to downtown. We fought for decades to become a Main Street, Iowa community, to entice private companies and businesses to improve their buildings and attract new businesses. And 6 months after achieving that goal, the city council may choose to remove direct access from Main Street to US 30. Who's advocating for Nevada businesses? I thought it was the city council. I thought it was our elected representatives. The city businesses are the ones that need your help more than anyone else. If this betrayal happens, and it would be to me a betrayal, that Nevada, Iowa will have a beautiful and possibly empty downtown. The people that made that happen will be remembered. I understand nobody wants to see anybody displaced. I don't like eminent domain. But our responsibilities, your responsibilities, are to the city and to the businesses in the city first, and second, anyone else. The DOT already owns the land on both sides of US 30 at S14. The land on the north side of US 30 and Airport Road is owned by the city, and the DOT has an easement on that land. Initially, years ago, the DOT had the position that there would only be one exchange from Nevada to Ames in that corridor. And at that time, Airport Road exchange made sense for the access to energy plants in our industrial park. However, the DOT has since expressed that they are open to a second exchange in the corridor, which makes the exchange at Airport Road less necessary for the energy plants and industrial park. Tonight, in a few minutes, several people, 7 people, will make a decision that will affect Nevada for decades, maybe a century or more. It's not reversible in the future. It's not something that can be stopped once the final decision has been made. 7 people that were elected to make Nevada a more attractive destination will soon make that decision to either close the direct link to downtown from US 30, or they'll make it so the only way anybody can get to the center of town from US 30 is by the Airport Road exchange or by the 19th Street exchange. Those people in the center of town would need to travel to or far west or far east to leave home or to get home. If those 7 decide to cut off the 6th Street US 30 link, Nevada will lose its direct lifeline to out-of-town traffic. As has happened in every other major town, little town, small town, that has lost its Main Street connection to a major highway, Nevada's downtown properties will lose their value even more than in the past. Building owners will hesitate to invest in the upkeep and upgrading of the historic downtown buildings, and businesses will look for other locations, possibly in other communities that have more access to main traffic. You have a decision to make. I know that several entities from Main Street to the NEDC and even the County Board of Supervisors would lean towards the S14 exit. I don't understand, it hasn't been explained to me, I guess, why it wouldn't be and why you wouldn't support the businesses downtown. I'm hoping, I'm praying, and I join Nevada citizens in praying that all of you are guided by your responsibilities as elected officials in Nevada, not just by trying to be a good human being. We downtown have a lot to lose. If we fail, nobody pays us for our property. Nobody pays us for our buildings. Nobody pays us for our businesses and the people that work there to find other jobs. So thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate being or getting the opportunity to be heard. I'll leave it up to other people to plead their case as it is.
Thank you, Larry. Okay. Going down our list, we will go to Charlie Good.
Right there. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Charlie.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I know this is very important to everybody. You know, a couple things that we've talked about before, and I just want to reiterate. 600th Street is a county road. We shouldn't have anything to do with that road. The DOT linked us to that by cutting this into sections. The one thing we need to think about, Story County Hospital, their access to Maple Avenue, if we do not have a interchange at 6th Street, they would have to come over the railroad tracks, up 19th over the railroad tracks. If they have to wait for a train, then they come to 6th Street, have to wait for a train to get back south. That's an emergency vehicle that may have to wait twice for trains. With the interchange at Airport Road, they wouldn't have to worry about it. They get off 19th Street, jump down there, go to the interchange, and they're in Maple. Like Larry said, if we close 6th Street, it'll be closed forever. There's no going back. There's 7 million reasons on Main Street right now with what we're doing why this should stay open. The last meeting, Larry said that the DOT would be willing to put the interchange at 600th and put an overpass at Airport Road and pave Maple back to Airport Road. If that's the case, I am okay with that, and the county can fight over 600th later. I truly don't see how 600th is the way for the future. I don't like displacing anybody. When we originally planned that intersection, it was with a double reverse quadrant that wouldn't have took anybody's houses, but the DOT said that wasn't conducive to their plans. So they came up with that plan there. In order for Ames or Nevada or anybody to grow, we have to grow everywhere, not just outside. But if we have the interchange at Airport Road, that book, like one guy said, that book ends the city. And you can put the exclamation point on ends, because they won't come in town to look at the downtown. They will not. They'll go right to where they're going to go and get right back on the road. You can go by Tama, Toledo, any of these towns, and I don't think you ever head downtown on any of them. And I don't see that would be any different here. But I think for the safety reasons for the Story County Hospital, then also with the DOT sign program, we would be able to put road signs up like they have on the interstates that would market our businesses downtown, especially the restaurants and stuff. That would be a direct access to us that would help bring people downtown. Yes, that's a yearly expense, but that gives us signage out on the highway that's legitimate, and I think that every single one of you look at when you travel down the interstates or lane roads where you come off the interchanges to see where you can eat or where you can sleep or what's the attractions. So you know where I stand. I got about $1.5 million invested downtown, and you know, when 6th Street closed a few years ago, my business dropped by 30%. While we repaved that down there. My business has dropped a little bit now, but because of the COVID and because of the storm and everything, I've been one of the lucky ones. I didn't lose power and I was able to maintain things. But the guys up on Main Street, they're in a world of hurt. And I know this is an important vote, but I like Larry, think that we're the city council here, and the city comes first. The county road, we can't make that decision for the county. That is going to be up to them. I truly believe that 6th Street needs to be the interchange. We could put the overpass at Airport Road to help. But when these ethanol plants and Verbio gets going, there's going to be enough semis going east and west down Brecky's Road and down Airport Road that 600th will be a necessity. So that'll be something that the county can fight down the road. My main concern is 600th Street, or not 600th Street, but 6th Street now, so it will keep our options open downtown for future businesses and future growth from the inside out. And with the economic development, it'll go all the way to Ames, no matter what. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Okay, next up is to be Kim Shipley. I'm not seeing Kim logged in. Okay, so we will move on to Glenda Swagel. And Glenda, you should be able to unmute yourself and address the council. Also see David, so I'll allow you both to talk in case you're using his device. So either Glenda or David can unmute and address the council.
Okay.
Well, this is Dave. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Oh, fantastic. First of all, I want to thank the council for letting us voice our opinion on this. And what these plans do is they pit the businesses on West 18th Street against the businesses in downtown Nevada. I think it's kind of unfair for us to fight over some roads. But having that being said, 20 years ago, when we first approached Nevada, we were stuck in a little town that we didn't have any access to any major highways or the interstate. And at that time, we employed having direct access to Highway 30 and Interstate 35. We have a lot of semis coming in and out every day. I think we calculated around average 20 or so semis. And I know I mowed the front lawn today, and there is a lot of traffic on West 18th Street. A lot of commuters, a lot of semis, a lot of grain trucks, and all coming off of 30. And I would like to see it somehow stay open, obviously, because I have business here on West 18th Street. I do feel for the folks downtown. They've had a heck of a time this year with COVID and all the construction. By the way, side note, construction looks really good downtown. I can't wait to see it finish. And then, of course, the power goes off for everyone downtown. Stays open for Paragon for some reason. But I just want to say that if there's any way that we can keep 30 open, I would appreciate it. If that doesn't happen, I understand. Paragon's not going anywhere, but it makes our lives a little bit easier for the traffic flow.
Direct access.
Direct access, yes.
And I think we speak for several other businesses here on Airport Road as well, especially, John Deere, and I know Bill McBride is also quite concerned, and Doug Kauser. And then Gretchen, she's on vacation over at Priority, but I think they all would support having direct access to Highway 30. But I do support the Main Street committee, and I do want to see our Main Street thrive. And so I know you get a tough decision tonight, and we'll support whatever you do, but we want you to keep the industrial park out here in mind as you vote tonight. So thank you.
Thank you both. Okay. I'll keep checking for the ones who are on here that weren't logged in yet and move on to Randy Collins.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I would like to address the potential bridge and interchange at S14 and Highway 30. In my mind, safety is number one, and this is fulfilled by a long bridge with an interchange at S14 and Highway 30. A walking path / bike path that connects to 6th Street would need to be built on one side of the bridge. The other issue is emergency personnel from Nevada Police Department, Story County Hospital, the Fire Department, the Sheriff's Department, Mary Greeley Hospital, and the Iowa Highway Patrol would all have great access to either the north side of 30 or the south side of 30, with no confusion of which exit they would have to use and which way they need to go. Response time would be greater at a very crucial time for the Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Department if the interchange is at Airport Road, as more turns would be involved to get to the south part of town or the north part of town. While it may not be a lot of time, it is still more time in a potentially crucial period. Businesses on Airport Road are currently destination businesses for the most part. You are not going to just stop in and buy something on a whim. Airport Road has dangerous curb and gutter for the ag community usage, and the street is not wide enough. Reconstruction would be needed. If Airport Road becomes the only way to cross Highway 30, intense ag traffic will be forced onto Lincoln Way to get over to 600th, which is the railroad crossing, competing with local traffic, a potentially very dangerous safety issue. I have traveled on Lincoln Way with machinery, and it can be very challenging to say the least. Please keep in mind that if an interchange at Airport Road was built, there would never be one constructed at 600th because of the too short of distance between interchanges per the DOT specifications. And really building an interchange at 600th is in the middle of Nevada's industrial area on the west side, 610th to 590th, and I'm not sure if everybody knows that. I noticed there have been several comments addressing the impact to families at 600th. And this can be addressed by building a 2-quadrant interchange, a mirror image of 19th Street, and just think about that, west of the family residences involved, resulting in minimum impact to the residences. This suggestion has been sent to County Supervisor Linda Merkin, and she was going to forward it on to County Engineer Darren Moon. I feel the DOT proposal putting the interchange at Airport Road is just shifting their safety issues to Nevada and Story County. Safety needs to take a front seat. Lives cannot be replaced. The pros and cons put forth in the alternatives 3 and 4 in the information furnished online did not discuss emergency personnel accessibility to both the north and south parts of Nevada, a critical consideration. I'm very surprised that was not discussed. I greatly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Okay. I do not see the final two, so we will go ahead and move on. And because it was brought up a couple times with emergency response, I'll let Rick speak to our own staff, but we have had conversations with Story County Medical Center and their CEO. He said their emergency responders rarely use Highway 30 anyway, and that timely emergency response can be easily achieved from either option. So he was supposed to send that to us in writing, but obviously with what happened this week, I've been pressuring him to do that. But that was what he had told me earlier in the week. So that council has that information. So we'll probably go ahead and let Jordan kick it off. We'll hear some staff input and then open up some deliberation for council.
I'd like to touch on a couple of points. One, the heavy traffic that we would be experience yes, we will be getting heavy traffic down Airport Road, but why would we want to put heavy traffic down a newly renovated $7 to $9 million project? The other thing I'd like to touch on is the safety aspect of this whole project. A big thing that we are concerned about is the safety of our residents and them getting across Highway 30, providing connectivity for them. With the interchange at Highway 30 and 6th Street, it drastically decreases the safety aspect of people walking across that highway. As for Airport Road, you're not going to see a lot of pedestrian traffic, if any. So my recommendation is Airport for the sake of all of our businesses. It has been statistically proven that appraisals, so building appraisals have decreased by 150% due to truck traffic. An 80,000 pound truck is also equivalent to 9,600 cars down a road. So I'd like you to imagine imagine walking across our beautiful renovated downtown and imagining a semi or something driving down our highway and how scared someone might be looking down our 6th Street, seeing a truck coming on their way. We want walkability, we want connectivity, we want a healthy hometown for our citizens, and providing a more walkable space for our citizens downtown is definitely the route that we want to go, especially since we are improving our downtown, the infrastructure for that. That way we can lead the way to support our business owners that are downtown. Not only will the airport support industrial park, the growth of Nevada, the future of Nevada, but it also supports the businesses downtown because it helps preserve their value. But that is all.
And Rick, do you have any comments from a public safety perspective?
Well, emergency responses by the officers are going to take the fastest way to get wherever he's gone. I have heard several individuals talk about the ambulance having to go over 2 sets of railroad tracks and that sort of thing. We'll have to do that now to go to north end. But I've driven this several times myself and gone down to Southwest Avenue. If I want to get to Maple, that's the quickest way to go because I don't have tracks. I don't have to go across 30, just go south on 11th, turn west, and then north, and I'm there. The argument about the railroad tracks and all that other thing, that doesn't mean anything to me because there's a faster way to get there without doing it. I get concerned about the amount of traffic on 6th Street with the exchange there because we talked about the downtown and all the work that's been down there and being done. But it wasn't, I think 3 or 4 years ago, we just did renovation of 6th Street from tracks all the way over downtown here, going from 4 lanes to 3 lanes. And by doing that, we're kind of saying we're not going to get the traffic that we had before. And now all of a sudden we're going to increase that traffic flow, and all the money that we put into that road.
Rick, people can't hear you on the stream.
How much louder would you like me to be?
Yeah.
Thanks, Chief. Start from the beginning.
You want me to start from the beginning?
Yeah.
You probably couldn't hear me either, right?
What?
Is this okay?
Thank you.
Okay, all right. As I said before, the argument about the ambulance going over 2 sets of railroad tracks to get into the exchange to go down to Maple, I think is easily defeated by going down 11th Street and taking S Avenue. It's quicker, it's faster. I've driven it numerous times and there isn't any issues to get to Maple Avenue. So if the concern is there, I don't see that as a concern. The officers responding to any emergency call are going to take the quickest, fastest way to get there. And they could be anywhere in town. They could be 2 blocks away or they can be clear across town. But as they patrol, they look for the fastest ways to get from point A to point B. So whatever that is, that's the course they'll take. And that changes throughout the day. Day shift is much different than the overnight shift. There's nobody in the streets at 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the afternoon is a little different. One of the concerns I have is 6th Street and all the renovation we did from the railroad tracks to I Avenue. That was, I think 3 years ago, maybe 4. It was a 4-lane roadway to deal with all the traffic. Now it's 3 lanes. Essentially, we're saying it's less traffic, so we don't need to have that. We made the street wider, made the street safer. That's all negated by having all the traffic on S14 going up 6th Street. I don't care what kind of signage that we put on the roadway. Semis are going to go straight. Semis are going to go right through the downtown area. They'll go up to Ann Avenue and go west and pick up S14 that way. It's quicker, it's faster, less turns. And, you know, we can probably do a lot of enforcement in that area when we're able to do that. But that doesn't help the downtown area with all the excess traffic we're going to have. The road is in the downtown area. It's going to be narrower, and we're doing it much differently than it was before. And I think we're going to have lots of problems in that area if we have the traffic going north on 6th Street. So all the things about safety and concerns and accidents and all that, I'm not going to go over all that because we've already talked about all that. But I can see some of the things that are going to take place by having the increased traffic on 6th Street if the exchange is there. So I fully support going out to Airport Road. Yes, there's some issues that with the curb and all that. I understand all that. But in the long run, I think it's the best way to go, and it's the future of our community. If you have questions, I'll try to answer them for you.
Council, anything for Rick? Okay, thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
So with that, I think that's all the staff input that I'm aware of. So, or Sean, did you have something?
We can.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Who wrote that letter?
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead and hop up to the mic there, and you can talk about that.
Well, I guess full disclosure, I recommended approval of it when it first came to the council. When the Airport Road first came to council, interchange. So, and I support it now. For bona fides for the downtown, I don't own a building there, but I have been involved in volunteering in the downtown with the JCs. I was president of the JCs. I was president of Lincoln Highway Days, president of the Chamber of Commerce, and I was co-chair for the RAGBRAI committee in 2008 and 18. So all of those activities, I volunteered a lot of time for the downtown. So I do support downtown, but I support the whole of Nevada also. And I think that the Airport Road is the best option. I'd kind of like to direct council to look over to the east. When you look at the east there, what we have over 30 is 11th Street. And then we have an interchange at 19th Street. So we're kind of having the same discussion right now about where we want that. The overpass over 6th Street is a great idea. There's about a third of the population that lives down there that doesn't have a good access to the city center, to the rest of the city at all, really. They have to cross US Highway 30 to get here at what's considered a very dangerous intersection. So if you're going to cross 30, you might as well just turn and go to Ames or go south, take S14 south to, say, Ankeny. If you would build an overpass, just an overpass over 6th Street, over S4 or over US Highway 30 connecting S14 to 6th Street, that's tying about a third of the population that already knows the city. They already know what's downtown. They have a favorite restaurant and everything else. Directly onto 6th Street, and they have an easy and convenient access. I mean, it brings them right to here. And it also would provide with just the overpass. They're not planning on, I think, on putting, if we want to have an interchange, they're not really planning on putting or wouldn't recommend putting the bike path on the interchange. If it's just the overpass, then that bike path would lead everyone back down on 6th Street and back onto the trail. You could
Suddenly, your kids could have access to their friends down there. The people who live there can ride their bikes and cross, take the bike path, drop down onto our bike path just south of the bridge on 6th, and go right to the pool. And the only road that they would cross would be 11th Street. So that ties the community together a lot better than, say, an overpass at Airport Road would. And I would submit that probably, looking at from the downtown perspective, that those people are a much more likely customer base and consistent customer base than, say, somebody driving along at highway speeds on US Highway 30. They're much more likely to know the place and come along. As far as the traffic thing and our planning goes, yeah, when we get off on 6th Street, if we put that interchange there, it's a lot like taking 11th Street and putting the interchange there. Only it's going to be a lot busier because there's a lot more traffic between Nevada and Ames and Ankeny and Des Moines. There's just a lot more traffic there. So it's not going to be just 19th Street. It's going to be a lot busier than that, especially with the truck traffic. And everybody's going to get off there to try to get to where they're going to go. And they're not just going to be on 6th Street. They're going to find a way that they think is quicker, there's a lot of stop signs on 6th Street. So they're going to try to maybe 4th or 5th or 3rd or 1st to get back on Lincoln Highway, to get over to the Airport Road interchange or industrial park and things like that. So those roads really aren't made to be an industrial pathway, industrial road system. They're quiet neighborhoods, and there's parking on both sides of the street. The radiuses of the street are not large for truck traffic, and or a large amount of cars that are going to be driving through there for people who are coming back and forth from work or just accessing the town for whatever reason. So if we built it out on Airport Road, trucks would come off of Airport Road, they'd turn onto West A Avenue. If they needed to go there, they would come off, they would turn onto West F Avenue, and they would come off and onto West K, or they would come up to the intersection at 18th Street and Lincoln Way and turn back to the west where cars would turn back to the east and then drive down into town, separating truck traffic and car traffic, and then let it drop off on Lincoln Way, which is an actual arterial road, and that's made for large amounts of cars. If you look at the West F road, that the construction drawings that you guys have accepted, just kind of an example of an industrial road as compared to a residential road. That road is 37 feet back of curb to back of curb. That's a really large road, but it's made for large trucks and large equipment to make those turns and be able to move around on that road. It's also 8 inches thick. It's thick to be able to cover that, to take the truck traffic that we're anticipating on those things. If you look at the South Glen roads that we approved, they're 26 feet back of curb to back of curb, and they're 7 inches thick. They're made that way because they're not made for trucks. It's just not simply what this road is designed for. So we are kind of just trying to either, if we pick 6th Street to have as our interchange, we're not only kind of cutting off those people that live south there, because obviously all that traffic, it's going to be a little bit more of a hassle to get across to go into the downtown, and you can always just turn off onto US Highway 30, or and also we're shoving those trucks through there. If we leave that just as an overpass, we're including about a third of the city that's a much more likely group to be involved in the downtown or local businesses. And we're also moving all that truck traffic and heavy traffic to a road system that's much more designed to it. I've heard Airport Road, it's not the perfect road that we've got, but it's not the perfect road. We probably wouldn't design it if we had that, but we're good at building roads, and we can do those sort of things. And if I would take, for example, the Airport Road and Lincoln Way intersection, that road, that intersection was brought up the last time we talked about having it, the interchange at Airport Road, that it was a bad intersection, and that's the reason that we shouldn't do that. Well, we applied. We agreed that it's a bad intersection and we needed to improve it. We applied for some grant, some federal money or state money to make some improvements on that. It was denied. We then went back and we did our application. It was improved, and we built that interchange at about 20 cents on the dollar. So, I mean, those are things that we can do with Airport Road. When some new business comes in, we can go and get some more money and develop that as we kind of go along. So I guess that's about all I got. I just would like to say that I think the Airport Road interchanges would be the best thing for the future of Nevada. And the overpass at 6th Street is frankly a really good idea.
Anything for Sean? Okay, so is that all the staff? Probably should see if Larry has comment.
Sean said it all, everything he said. The one thing I did share with you, hang on a second. I'm actually listening to you on my phone.
Yeah. And also Larry made some nice exhibits earlier. I don't know, did council get those today? Did council get the new exhibits that Larry made today?
You want me to run and get them?
Sure.
Sean's going.
Oh, Karen, Sean's going.
Pardon?
Sean can go.
Okay, go ahead, Larry.
At the direction of Jordan and the mayor, we created some exhibits that showed more of the area in the city from east to west and how the interchanges would look at both the S14 6th Street location and at the Airport Road location. In addition to that, with that exhibit, which I don't know if you have or can show, we indicated additional future roads that the city could build to provide additional connectivity within the city. And those would primarily be involved with extending Osage from the south, which is in the Indian Ridge subdivision area, and extend Osage south, and then crossing S14 just north of the two railroad crossings, the two UP railroad crossings, and then that would intersect with the connector road between S14 and 6th Street. So you'd have a nice north-south corridor along the west side of the city for additional growth and connectivity for all the south part and north part of the city. In addition to that, we're also proposing an extension of West A Avenue in the West Industrial Park that would then connect in with that with Osage. And obviously that can be an extremely good connector of folks coming off the Airport Road interchange for the downtown area and other parts of the southern part of the city. So I believe with future roads, I have always supported the Airport Road interchange. Obviously the S14 6th Street interchange goes back to concepts that were developed in the early 60s when when new US 30 was relocated south of here. And so it's nothing new, but the city has changed immensely in the 60 years since that concept was developed. There was no industrial development on the west side of Nevada. And I firmly believe that the interchange needs to separate that passenger traffic from vehicle traffic from the truck traffic that we're trying to get out of the downtown area. And the only obvious solution to that is to have the interchange at Airport Road. I don't know that I can take full credit for it, but during the 11 years I've worked with the city, we fought extremely hard to get the DOT commission to approve including the interchange at Nevada in their 5-year plans. Early on, we were promoting the concept of the S14 6th Street interchange because that's where it had been planned for 50-some years before that. And I think probably 6-7 years ago, we brought up the concept to the DOT to relocate that interchange at Airport Road. That was one of the reasons that they immediately said, that's a great location for it. We support it, and we'll get it into the 5-year plan. And I'm very concerned that if we don't have it at Airport Road, they may withdraw their support for constructing that interchange at any time in the near future. Obviously, regardless of where the interchange goes, whether it's at S14 or 6th Street or Airport Road, the bridge connecting S14 and 6th Street is the first phase to be done, regardless of where that goes. And that's where we're at this point in time. The DOT is willing to construct that $8 million to $10 million project. And I appreciate what we're doing here, making that final decision on where to go. And in my mind, the obvious location is at Airport Road because we can still provide very, very good connectivity with the downtown area. It may take you, 15, 20 seconds longer to get from Airport Road to downtown, but the connectivity will be there. And as Sean brought up, the connection with a third of the city's residents on the south side, on the southwest part of the community, will be greatly improved when we get that bridge in without the interchange at that location. If we don't, it's just as easy for those folks to get on Highway 30 and make that 5-minute trip over to Ames as opposed to the 5-minute trip uptown. So I firmly support the Airport Road location for the interchange, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Council, anything for Larry?
Thank you.
Larry? Okay. Council?
I'm going to make a motion to approve option 1 for the interchange at Airport Road.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Dana, second by Barb. Discussion?
Thinking back to our discussion 2 weeks ago, it's actually Charlie who said something about, a lot of us campaigned on this, and I was definitely one who did campaign on maintaining access to 6th Street. And it's led to some interesting conversations these last couple of weeks with a lot of my neighbors, a lot of my friends, and a lot of people around Ward 4 and around town. When you're elected, do you always stick to a promise no matter what? Or if there's new information presented, are you open to it? Do you react to new items that are brought up that may not have been thought about before? And it's been a really interesting philosophical conversation with people. And it's kind of helped me find some clarity on this issue. We've got 3 plans in front of us. One of them is the task force plan, which is well-intentioned, but at the end of the day, for a couple of reasons, it's a non-starter with me. Obviously, we've all gotten the feedback from the family farms at 600th and the problems with that, and also the number of dollars it's going to take to get water rights, for annexation, for the cost of a second interchange that the DOT isn't paying for. There is a lot of unanswered questions as to where that money's coming from. And so for me, that option just isn't viable. And so we're looking at basically either S14 or Airport Road. A lot of my reservations with 6th Street have already been mentioned. Obviously, having a pedestrian trail mixed with truck traffic and vehicle traffic is dangerous. I know some families down in that area. I know that they really like the idea of having that pedestrian trail. Obviously you have the risk of somebody getting hit. You're right next to Highway 30, something like an abduction. You hope it would never happen, but something like that. That was actually brought up to me by somebody I talked to in my ward. They mentioned that, that's something you have to consider too. I'm going to say I take major exception to the implication that this council is betraying anybody downtown. The amount of money we have spent renovating the infrastructure, the amount of money and time we've spent helping Nevada get into the Main Street Iowa program, and the just number of things we're looking forward to continuing to help with flies in the face of that assessment. So I don't take that lightly. Airport Road, we've got a lot of shovel-ready land. We've got a lot of good companies already out there. We've got, obviously, Jason and me sitting on the development committee. We get to hear all these different potential plans that we talk about, all this potential development, all the tax revenue that brings in. When you have more jobs, you have more opportunity to create more housing, which creates a wider tax base, which is going to help things like pave roads, which we always hear about, paving roads. This helps that happen. We talk about upper story housing and all these renovations to our downtown businesses. What do you need to make that happen? Money. What does Airport Road do? Brings in more of that money. At the end of the day, most of our businesses downtown are destinations. We're a GPS generation. I saw it in a letter today, I think from Neil, that, we are a GPS generation. And if people see a show at the theater, they're going to punch in their GPS, they're going to go. If it takes an extra 30, 60 seconds, they're going to get there. I know that's what I do when I go to a concert anywhere else in the state. So I do think, and I've talked with Henry a little bit about this, and I hope the city would be very serious about making sure our signage is a major priority if we do go forward with Airport Road. I think that Airport Road with signage is frankly going to be more effective than what we have right now, because if you're driving by at highway speed, there's a turnoff and there's nothing there except for a sign that used to say 26th best small town in Iowa or in the country. And so, yeah, that's my thoughts.
I'd sure like to jump in. I'm one of that third of the population that lives south of 30. So I live that, and I was at an event that the mayor had with some of those neighbors just on Sunday. And they're concerned that traffic that we're hearing about and those trucks and all of that is a huge concern. An interchange in a residential area is not a really popular idea and not a safe idea either. The other hat that I wear is I've been in this work for over 30 years of economic and community development. So those comments about that this can't work in other communities or doesn't work or kills those businesses is a myth. We've had all kinds of different interchange experiences across our state in many communities, and it really can strengthen the downtown. And we are so poised. This would have probably damaged our Main Street and our downtown 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But right now we are set up. And as Dane said, the fact that we work so hard to help this community get in the Main Street program, we're not going to abandon that. We're here to really support that and coming up with other revenue to help increase, the facade improvements and the other kinds of structural things, as well as just making it look good isn't enough. We need that economic restructuring that's underway too. So I see, just a wonderful potential. And with that in mind, I definitely support the Airport Road and certainly the bridge concept that makes it safe for those pedestrians and those bikers to get into town and, gives us another option that way. I think it's also really important, Dane got to this a little bit, but how do people do business today? How do they get there? We didn't hear it from any of those businesses. How do the people get there? There's a lot of online business. The people that I see successful have both a brick and mortar front, and then they're also doing online. So, we've experienced drive-through. It's really changed in the last 6 months, even with the whole pandemic. People have had to figure out new ways to do business. So I think the businesses have to ask, really, how did the people get here? We have traffic counts. We know 13% go up 6th Street. They're coming from all over the place, but that's not the main way that people get to our Main Street. So I think the rest of that is we're going to use that Main Street Iowa program. I made a couple calls today about what assistance do we have? They have best practices from all over the state and all over the country. That's not just an Iowa program. To help us with how do we adapt? How do we redirect people? Because we're going to do it differently. So enough from me.
Well, I'd like to just echo a bit of what my colleagues have already said, but I'm really gratified by how this community can mobilize. That's one of the things that we've seen in the last 6 to 8 weeks. People step up, step out. That's the capacity that led us to be able to land Main Street, Nevada. We did some things that were not expected. We set ourselves apart. It's the same thing that's been possible. This same mobilization has made it possible to sustain our response to COVID-19 and even the storm on Monday. that's part of who we say we are. And so I feel like I want to extend my appreciation for that, but to keep doing the challenge, it's like somebody's going to be on the wrong side of the decision that I participate in tonight. And I want to make sure that you know you were heard, and that I expect you to support what we do, because that's what Nevada does. They mobilize. I'm looking at supporting Airport Road because of safety, first and foremost. And from my perspective, I'm thinking of this as a way to protect our investments. The Central Business District has already been spoken of. That convergence of Main Street, Nevada, and the public infrastructure improvements, that's a sure and hopeful sign of what we've already committed. The West Industrial Park is promoting development as we speak. We're protecting an investment there. Long time ago, far away, before some of you were even around, we thought we were going to have an East Industrial District area. And the folks that came in saw the potential on the West End. Housing is another thing that seems to be important to me. And as the DOT purpose is to control access to Highway 30, I think that Airport Road helps us control and allow access to all of our businesses in an inclusive way that provides balance and complements and benefits each other. What's here in the Central Business District and what's out in West, they're not, it's like two different children from the same household. It also presents us with an opportunity for future housing development. It looks like south is the direction to go. And there seems to be potential for that future councils, future members of NEDC can start to think about how can we add to that 1/3 that's already south of Highway 30, because we'll have that bridge and they'll still be part, they'll finally be part of the community.
All right, your turn. Ready? Yep.
I personally, I'm gonna be personally here first, hate the idea of having to interchange at Airport Road. And that's me being selfish because I have a business on that road. It is a horrible road to travel. Everyone says there's a lot of traffic on there. Good. 600, since they paved it, has eased the traffic a lot. It's too fast. There's a driveway every 100 feet. It's too narrow. I just don't like it. And that's more me being a personal decision of being what I deal with on a daily basis out there as a business owner. They close 600, which they'll do if we get one at Airport Road. Verbio is putting an expansion in. They're proposing, of liquid manure, corn. We're going to throw 200 more trucks a day on Airport Road. 200, and that might be conservative. That being said, we just did that intersection at Lincoln Way. It's not going to be good enough. We're going to have to spend more money because it's not that awesome now. I mean, it's better, but you can still sit there for a long, long time, just like we did before we did that intersection. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot better, but it ain't. We're going to have to stop traffic on Lincoln Way. That's the only way we're going to make it better, especially adding 200 more trucks. We're going to have to spend money on Airport Road. We're going to have to go in that with not our, we can't have our blinders on here as a council, knowing that we're not going to have to spend, and we have it in our report. We're going to have to spend that money because it's only 28 feet wide, and we can thank the county for that. I'll say it out loud when they did it. There wasn't very many businesses out there when they did that. when my dad bought that, when he first went out there, there's only like 3 people on that road, and it was a gravel road. And it came a long way since then. That being said, I've talked to a lot of people, and we've all read I think it's overwhelming support for that interchange from the public. As much as I don't like it, and I've said it before, my whole tenure on city council, our job is to vote what's best for the city and what the people want, not sitting here voting for what we think, because that's not the right way to do it. Or I would vote against this, because personally I'm against it. But I'm probably not voting that way, because that's really not what's good for the city and what's good for what I think. It's overwhelming that people support the Airport Road interchange, knowing that we're going to have to do some work. Is it going to hurt downtown? I don't know. I've said before, Dane even, he's come around, that I think it is a destination. Airport Road's a destination. More so than downtown. You don't drive down Airport Road and pull into Midwest Cylinder Head to get an engine rebuild just because you're driving down the road. You're going to stop at Subway quicker than. But I also think when I come to downtown Nevada, I come down here for a reason. I'm going to go see Brett at the pharmacy because I got to pick up my medicine. I'm going to go to Subway because I'm hungry. I think people are still going to come downtown. I think there's a lot to being said with having good access to drive some of the people from the south side of town that I think obviously probably go somewhere else to eat lunch or to do whatever. Do I personally like the idea? No. It's going to put a ton of traffic. I think, like I said, we're going to have to spend some money on Airport Road, but where don't we have to spend money, decide what we're going to do no matter what. So I came into this steadfast a month ago that I was going to get on my soapbox and preach to all you guys why we need to have it at 6th Street and 600th. But just after talking to so many people, we are supposed to do what's right for the city and what's best. And unfortunately for me personally, Airport Road is probably the best choice. You know me, I'm pretty transparent. Do I like it? No. Is it the best for the city? I think absolutely. So there you have it. Is everyone surprised? Yep.
Brian's always a wild card. We don't know where you're going to land.
I know. I'm still sitting, running down the fence, ruining a pair of jeans. But, I haven't got to be on the fence like this since the fire department issue. So let's not bring that up. So there you have it. I think that's, in my opinion, that's what everyone wants. It's probably going to work out good and be the best for the city. I'm done.
You want to do the grand send off and I'll go now, or?
Okay, I'll go.
Whatever you want.
I'll go. I'm just going to hit on a few points that have already been brought up, and I don't want to rehash a bunch of stuff because we wouldn't allow the public to do it, so I'm not going to do it. Connecting the south side to the downtown, great. Safety for pedestrians and bicycles, great. Building more businesses over in the industrial area to collect more tax money so that we can reinvest that all back into our city, great. Chief hit on the safety aspect for police vehicles. Brett, you talked to the Story Medical, so all that part is taken care of. So my support is definitely towards the Airport Road. Not to mention we are a destination, downtown destination, and everybody does use Google or whatever it is to get to where they're going.
Maybe not you. And I'm going to jump back in there real quick because I was going to say it and I forgot. And Sandy kind of mentioned on it earlier about, and Brett, the whole Google thing. I'm going to use Valley Junction as a perfect example. I'm sure probably most everyone's been to Valley Junction. There ain't no direct connection to Valley Junction. I mean, you get off on, I don't know what it is. It's the number 4 exit.
63rd.
Yes, 63rd. And you got to go a little wiggle room to get there, and they're just thriving. And I think a lot of it's like Sandy said. There's a lot of resources out there that we can use to drive business to our downtown. And I'd say Valley Junction and the East Village is another good example that have very well succeeded not being on the major thoroughfare, so to speak, that you have to find your way there. So we can do it too. We can do it too.
All right, well, I'll make it awkward.
You or me, Luke.
There's advantages to both plans. There's no getting around that. The question for me is, who do we give the advantage to? The places, the people in the places that have been here for lifetimes, or people in places that aren't here yet. We invested in being a Main Street community just a year or two ago. And I think we should show that investment in that downtown district. And I don't think an airport interchange does that. And being the representative of that district, I think I've had quite a few of those business owners reach out to me and tell me just that. They've dealt with COVID the last few months. They're dealing with the construction downtown right now, and they've been hurt quite a bit by that, which they spoke about already. And to then have to add this onto what they think is going to hurt them, and I agree, is more stacking the deck against them, so to speak. The argument that GPS is going to lead people there no matter what, while true, GPS will also lead trucks to Airport Road if they need to get there as well. So I see that as moot, because if everybody's using it, so are the truckers. Just because the revenue stream of business coming in from 6th Street to downtown randomly might be running dry right now, I don't think that means we dam it up and redirect that revenue, so to speak, out to another part of town. I think we leave that open, not only for the current businesses, but there's a lot of empty real estate downtown, and people who want to have a business downtown are probably going to want to see that open as an opportunity for them. And as well, and not only on 6th Street, but also on Lincoln Way as well. There's a growing number of downtown commercial locations that are becoming empty. And I think keeping 6th Street open will help that. Certainly closing it would not help it. S14 6th Street has support of NEDC. It has support of Main Street. I'm not a business owner like Brian. Those people know what's best for their business. So I think we should honor their recommendation as well. Let's see. Brian touched on the construction at Airport Road. Airport Road being 2 lanes and curbed is going to be I think we at least have to go to 3 lanes, 2 lanes with a turning lane in the middle at minimum. And that's going to require utilities to get moved as well. And then you touched on the Lincoln Way, Airport Road intersection. That's going to require a lot of work. One thing that hasn't been discussed really is we're going from 4 entrances off of 30 down to 2. So the 2 that we end up having, no matter where they're at, they're going to need to be beefed up. So even 19th Street, I think, is going to need some infrastructure, whether it's stoplights or some type of increased traffic control, because that's going to be busier as well. But Airport Road, as it stands right now, I don't think is ready. It's going to come with a lot of expense to pave that to where it needs to be. I have more points, but a question I wanted to get to before we go much farther, and people can think about it, and I don't know who wants to answer it, but we're talking about, there's a lot of talk about trucks coming through downtown and the safety concerns of that. It's not a huge problem that we have right now. It happens every once in a while, but it's not very often that semis come through town right now. So why do we think that that's going to be an issue with a 6th Street interchange with Maple paved? Proper signage off 6th Street will direct people to the right to take Maple to get to Airport Road. And if we think that people are going to, if we think residents are going to use Airport Road and then you get off on Maple to get to 6th to go home, which would be the way that I would go, why don't we assume trucks are going to take the same way to get there? Again, if things are properly signed. So I think that's, I really don't buy that being a problem like it seems to be laid out to be. Again, assuming we properly sign things, which I guess I think we can probably all agree we've not been the greatest at doing recently, at least for our downtown district. Brian, you touched on a lot of the letters being towards Airport Road. I didn't make a tally of it, but it's pretty close, but you might be right. I think if you take out the ones in regards to 600th though, I think it probably leans towards S14. Maybe I'm including some emails I got to myself personally.
I kind of disregarded those, to be honest with you. Not that we should, and I don't want to offend anyone that's listening, but that's not our decision.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Because if it was, I'm hardcore back at 6th Street because 600 takes all the truck traffic. No option about truck traffic on 6th Street if we have 600th. But we don't have that kind of control. We don't have that decision. So we have to go into this decision thinking the DOT doesn't want to spend any more money. Of course they don't want to. Nobody does, you know. Nobody in life wants to spend a lot more money than they have to if they have a better alternative. 6th Street is a beautiful alternative for the DOT. They get to come in, build a bridge, one interchange, they're done. They close everything till 590th. You know, we muddy their water by putting it at 6th Street. Then now they really got to think about 600th. They get pressured from the county because they're not going to be happy because they paved 600th thinking they're going to put an interchange there. They're never going to do it if we put it at Airport, or if we, you know, if we support Airport Road. There's still no guarantee what the DOT is deciding what they're going to do, but that will be their one if we have the little bridge. There's no obvious, you know, but, and I kind of, you know, just to touch on what Luke said is I kind of don't buy into all the truck traffic on 6th Street either. The amount of traffic that people go to and come from Airport Road, or if they're going to go to Verbio ethanol plant, the co-op, one trip of going down 6th Street on accident and they're done doing that because nobody wants to drive a truck up that through the middle of town. They want to go as quick as they can.
Right. Well, in a good
Is
way
there
of-
going to be? Yeah. And like we said, there is now. I mean, we know that they drive over the railroad crossing out here on 11th Street all the time, you know, but
Well, a good way of helping the truck traffic is to have a dedicated turn lane as you're coming off of, well, it would be eastbound 30, but in that kind of short turn onto Maple, you just have a dedicated right turn lane that goes all the way so that they don't even really have to stop. They just keep going, turn right, the lane's dedicated to them, coming off the highway, turning onto Maple, and then staying on Maple with a merge eventually to what would be a single lane road, I'm guessing. But that would eliminate all the truck traffic that would be coming downtown. Like you said, make a mistake here and there, but by and large, that would all be going to the right. With the trail is going to be on the east side of the road. All the traffic is not going to be moving very quickly, with the exception of maybe stuff that's coming straight through from S14 or something. Everybody else is going to be turning to and from the highway and turning away from the trail. So I don't see the safety concerns of the trail. The trail on the bridge would be separated by concrete and fencing. And then I would hope that if on the parts where it's on land, it would be separated, 20, 30 feet away from the road, so that safety concerns for that would be pretty nil, because truck traffic is all going to be turning away from the trail and moving away from the trail and not moving very quickly. So safety concerns on the trail are not a concern for me at all. My last point is just, we seem to kind of acknowledge that ease of access and visibility is important. That's why we wanted Airport Road, for ease of access to that land for new businesses to attract. So why don't we give the advantage of ease of access and visibility to the people that have been here for decades with their businesses, and to the people that live here, that it's going to be closer for everybody in town to get off at 6th than opposed to Airport Road, with maybe a few exceptions. So why are we giving the advantage to people who don't have a business here yet, people who don't live here yet? And I'm all for growth, but we have to remember who buttered the bread to get us all here. I didn't even write that one in my notes. That one just popped in my head. So I'm in favor of airport, or I'm sorry, I'm in favor of the S14 6th Street. It supports downtown. It supports the people who live here. I don't see the safety concerns that other people see. I think I think things that are being marked as advantages to Airport Road are equal in my mind, and there's advantages to 6th Street that Airport Road doesn't offer.
You know, and I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. And now you guys I can muddy the water for you. As much as I agree with everything Luke said, I've always preached, we've had a few administrators in the past that when I first got on council and for a few years, it just baffled me that we didn't run the city like it was a for-profit business. And that's really what we need to think about. That's what we need to do. We need to be able to supply the amount of services that our residents frankly have come to expect. You know, they want us to fix roads. They want us to do downtown. You know, it's all paid with tax money. So it's really our responsibility to try to do the best we can do. That being said, like it or not, big industry makes us more money. I mean, you know, a new hair salon that comes to town is going to pay a small fraction of what Van Wall's paying, you know. So is it fair? Probably not, but a lot of things isn't fair. I mean, are we handcuffing downtown? I don't think so. I think we spend a lot of money. We've proved that, and we'll do with our other projects that we've had in the past, which we've been talking about doing again to help facade and that thing. But if the one plan over the other helps John and NEDC and whoever bring in bigger business, bigger dollar tax paying, it's all about collecting taxes for the city. It's about, that's our wage as a city, is taxes. So Van Wall pays a lot of tax compared to what they paid when they're on 6th Street. I mean, way more than they paid. And that's not a popular thing to talk about. People don't want to hear that, you know, we're doing something because we're going to be able to bring industry. We've worked hard at bringing industry into town. We give abatements, we give infrastructure, we give them all kinds of things. We did it on we're going to do it on housing. But it's ultimately about when the abatements are up, look at the money we're going to collect in taxes. We can use that money to make our streets better, to make nicer parks, to have whatever everybody wants in town. So it's not a popular thing to talk about because nobody wants to say, you're not as important as the next guy. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's the way of life. That's why people change jobs, to make more money. So we can make more money on bigger tax. That kind of pushes it. So like I said, I agree with everything Luke said, but we ultimately still have to do what's best for the city. And unfortunately, like I said, personally, that's what's probably better for the city, for us to maximize our tax dollar. You know, we have a lot of really, really, really nice stuff in this town compared to a lot of towns our size. And it's because I think we make good decisions. We're fortunate to be in a position in the state for traffic that companies want to come here. I mean, John is inundated with opportunities that he follows on a daily basis. And it's not because we sit around and make bad decisions. Some people think this is a bad decision, but I think we all know it's not, you know, like it or not. You know, so that's where I'm at. We could argue the safety, and we could do all kinds of provisions for, I agree, you know, the safety being a one-sided on the trail. And like Jason said, I don't need to re-go it because we've all heard it, but it really is, where's the future growth? You know, all the housing developments they're talking about, getting them there, getting them close. And people, you know, like it or not, we are sort of a bedroom community. I mean, not 100%, but a pretty large fraction or percentage of people travel every day to work. Ankeny, you know, some of these letters even talked about it. They go to Ankeny, go to Des Moines. Well, if I'm looking for a new house in somewhere that's not big. I'm looking, how quick can I get on the highway to get to work? You know, I don't want to spend 20 minutes getting on the highway for a 20-minute drive. So I'll stop because I could keep going. But, you know, it's really about doing what's best for the city. And the more tax dollars we can collect, the better we can do for the city. Maximizing our profit, so to speak. Or we could raise taxes.
You going on the record? That was Brian Hansen.
Yeah.
Anybody listening?
Yeah. No, I said we could, but we'll just get more businesses to come to town instead. Dane made the motion already, right?
Mhm.
It's been a while since I had to remind myself.
Any other discussion? I know Luke mentioned trucks. Does anybody want to speak to that question before we wrap up?
We can
I
get
know
to it when we
my-
build it.
Hearing from staff, I think a lot of the talk was what S14 truck traffic is going to do when they come through town. I don't know if that's what you were all alluding to or not, but I'll let you answer that.
Well, I guess I didn't talk about the Maple Avenue, just because, you know, people talk about like, they can't get to 6th Street. Well, why couldn't they pull up on Airport Road interchange, turn down south to Maple, drive over, go over the 6th Street overpass, and then they're right on 6th Street. So I thought it was kind of a move point from one to the other, but trucks turning.
That was my question. Why are we assuming the people are going to take Maple off Airport Road to get into town, but the trucks are going to go downtown to get to Airport Road from 6th?
Well, if
Seems
we're
to
gonna
be-
take Maple, I guess I don't know if that's part of the plan or not. It would make a lot of sense, but then again, what would stop a car from turning off of, you know, going up on Airport Road, turning south to Maple, just driving down Maple and then hopping up onto the.
Right, right. That's what I assume people would do. I don't understand why
It's the same argument, I guess.
I just don't know why we're assuming trucks are going to take 6th into town when they could double back on Maple. With appropriate signage, you know, West Business Park, turn right, something like that.
Yes, but like I said, the whole thing, is, why don't you just pull up on Airport Road? Why don't you just turn on down Maple in a car? It said, big sign said 6th Street downtown. Turn right, you know, turn south, and you can just drive over
Well,
and pull up on 6th Street.
Just comes into my argument of who are we here to give the advantage to? The people who are here already or the people who are not? But
Well, I'm not trying to argue. I guess I'm just, it's the same way, and I guess, what would you want more on an interchange, on that overpass, or the place where we're trying to be a more communal road, local road? Would you rather bring trucks onto there and have them turn south, or would you rather have cars that said, I want to go downtown on that road where you're trying to mix pedestrians and everything else?
I can answer that from residents. They would prefer not to have trucks right in their yard.
I mean, I guess that's kind of the argument, so we'd rather have the cars.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the future growth of Indian Ridge to the south there, if you've got the trucks coming through that road to get back over to Airport Road, I think that's going to be a harder case to sell those homes if you've got truck traffic coming through all the time. And also, I just, you know, looking at all these yellow future roads, if you've got mostly residential, they're probably going to have to be replaced less often, which is going to be less expensive in the long run versus if you're having truck traffic come all the way back over from 6th to Airport, you're going to have to replace those roads all the time or make them way bigger and pay way more for them.
Other discussion? One piece I didn't say earlier when I opened up the public comment, I do want to recognize everybody in the community that weighed in. We got a lot of feedback, and it was, I think, a good discussion, respectful discussion. We got tons and tons of diverse feedback, and a lot of residents took the time to send in feedback, which I think is healthy too, and I hope they continue to do that on future issues, because I know the more we hear, the more it makes all of us think about things in different perspectives. So I found that to be really valuable to read through all that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of talk about communication too, especially from the folks south of 30 at the Sandy reference. I think that in all the years that this has been talked about, that had never even been a point that had been brought up. And so I, appreciate folks from all the different parts of town kind of weighing in and talking about how that would impact their lives too. I think that helps us make a more well-rounded decision.
Okay. Other comment? Seeing none, council, please vote. Okay, the motion carries, which ends new business and takes us into reports, starting with city administrator.
I only have one thing, unless you guys have questions for me about the report that I submitted. I just wanted to say thank you to all of our city staff. This week has been a really rough week for our citizens and our staff because we've put in a lot of hours and we've had to do a lot of things that we typically don't have to do. So I just want to thank you guys for going above and beyond and helping our citizens with the need that they had.
Okay. Anything for Jordan?
I have a question that I'm not expecting an answer to now, but just the research, only because I've been asked it quite a few times. People who have trees that may be standing but are heavily damaged in the right of way, what's going to be the policy on how we handle those?
Yeah, I can get you an answer on that, but I would assume they would be put on our list to get rid of those, take them down, cut them down. But right now, I believe we have before the storm happened.
I understand that.
Yeah, before the storm happened, we had quite a bit on that list. So I'll have to get with Jeremy and talk to him about that, and I can have an answer for you next council meeting or beforehand as well.
Sure.
And Jordan, if you don't mind, on that same note, I've had some people ask that have some heavily damaged trees that are waiting on a tree service.
Okay.
And we've said that we can put it to the curb and we'll pick it up. Are we gonna have another round of picking up, like say weeks later or something, that the people that have it all laying in their yard and can't get it to the curb? Because I know the DOT's been helping us and they just been kicking B, the guys have just been going right at it and doing a great job. But there's a lot out there that they can't get to the curb, in a day.
Right.
So are we going to still give that opportunity to the people in town to say, hey, we're going to do one more time 10 days from now or something? So
Yeah, I can't speak for Jeremy, but we had this discussion, I believe it was Tuesday. A lot of people had more brush and trees and everything than the trucks could haul. So what Jeremy was saying was fill up the trucks and move forward, and then we will come back and pick up the rest of it. So short answer, yes, I would think that we would be doing that. Long answer, I need to check with Jeremy and talk to him and what his plans are for
because
that.
kind of a time people have been asking.
Yeah.
And, of course, I'm sure everybody's been getting the question.
And that's something we can put out on Facebook too, and let people know exactly what we're going to be doing and how long we're going to be doing it and what they need to do for it.
Perfect.
And at some point, we're probably going to have another windy day or thunderstorm that comes through that knocks a lot of the debris that's hanging or dangling or something so we might want to keep that option of pickup, or at least let people drop it off or something.
Well, I know a lot of people have
Future
asked
too.
me, they got something laying on the garage. And they said, I can't remove it because I haven't got the blessing from my insurance company. Don't do it. Well, now they're afraid that it's going to cost them a lot of money, because they can't get it to the curb because the city's, we're doing an awesome job of hauling it away for people, but I can't. I want to, but I can't.
I got one in my yard that's overhanging the sidewalk, and it well beyond anything I can take care of, but I got to find somebody to do it for me. And
if we can
it's
do
gonna take
something,
time.
whatever that happens to be, a week from now or 2 weeks or whatever. So just when you talk to Jeremy.
Yeah. Marlis did say she's been telling the community that there will be multiple passes. So I think they'll keep going until reasonably we're cleaned up.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just don't wreck the yard.
Anything else for Jordan? Okay, so for me, there were a couple things I forgot earlier on there because they popped up. Couple proclamations. One is for Water and Wastewater Workers Week of Iowa, August 16th to 22nd, and hopefully that just doesn't jinx us as bad as American Wind Week did. Our water and wastewater hopefully will continue to work through that week. And then there's also a severe weather emergency proclamation as well, to amend the open burning protocols to allow residents to burn the debris that is too small to be hauled away. If at any time our fire chief deems it unsafe, we'll have another proclamation to rescind it. But for now, and Marlis will get this out for us, but it allows open burning of yard debris from the storm until August 27th between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. constantly attended by a competent adult until such fire is extinguished, and all the other rules with that 40 feet from housing and whatnot. So she'll get a copy of this. Lastly, with that too, just been really proud of the community response. Staff has done a fantastic job. I knew my first thing was let them do their job. They had literal fires to put out. They're a well-oiled machine, stay out of their way, and ask questions later. And they've been doing a fantastic job with that. The community in general, it's been really heartwarming for me to see neighbors helping neighbors, people finding out where they can help folks, just going around town looking for places to help. Businesses have driven up and handed me water while I've been out moving trees, and I'm just seeing everybody pitch in like that has been really encouraging to me and puts things in perspective really well.
Mayor, if you ever have the opportunity to do one of those log rolling things where you stand on the log in the water, you do pretty good after what I saw helping move a tree the other day.
And Henry and I were saying that we need a city like Olympics where we're like javelin throwing the logs,
Dog
and
cutting contest.
Well, I
shot
don't-
putting the stumps.
I think you should include the dogs.
Probably are.
Because there's a lot of
Liability
dogs
issues.
stacking sticks on Monday afternoon, and they weren't small in our neighborhood.
And
The
speaking of
dogs throw
that,
the sticks.
ABC 5 at 10 p.m. When you get home, you want to turn it on. They came to town to do a story on our cleanup efforts in town. So
Cool.
they filmed at Evergreen Lane and they filmed at Hattery Park, and then other places too.
Yeah, I already watched.
They asked for all the
They
places
posted
that
it
had
on
damage, and she'd go around and take photos, and she talked to other residents that
You
had
really-
trees in their roofs and all sorts of
Sister
things. So. And other than that, I'm sure there's other things that we were working on before the storm, but I'll remind you what they are next time. Any questions for me? And council reports.
I would just echo what the mayor said about the community. You jump on social media, obviously there's going to be negativity, especially with like the big decision that we had to deal with tonight. But at the same time, there's a lot of posts where saying, hey, I need help with this. And people jumping in and saying, what can I do? And posts just saying, hey, does anybody need help? It was really encouraging. I also had an idea, and it's just an idea. I don't even know what proper channel for this, but that picture of the shelter up at Hattery Park, I was thinking back to our discussion last year with the park name and that whole controversy. I'm assuming you're going to rebuild that shelter at some point. And has there been a thought maybe of calling that like Julia Walker Shelter or something when you rebuild it? I kind of figured you hadn't, but just throwing it out there to be in the air somewhere.
Okay. Any other council reports?
I'll echo that everyone did really well. And I've traveled a lot of miles for my profession since it quit raining Monday at noon. And it is unbelievable out there. The news doesn't do it justice. I mean, I'd come over a hill. I'd be going somewhere from calls. I got calls while it was still blowing here from Gilbert. It had already went through and I'm getting phone calls already. So I did a route to be efficient, and I'd say, okay, so-and-so lives here, and I hadn't even talked to him, and I'd go over this little hill, and it's like, are you kidding me? You know, it is devastating. I mean, it is, like I said, pictures don't do it justice on the news. We're fortunate that it's not any worse here in town. But it's bad for a lot of people. So keep up the good work, everybody. It's going to be a long haul to get everything back in shape. So that's all I got. We're doing a great job here in town. Our guys are doing an awesome job. I'm fortunate to have power. A lot of people don't, not for another week or so, they said. You need my generator? Yeah. So that's all I got.
Okay. Sean?
Construction's going well. As you guys can see, we're starting to kind of get to a point where we might be able to open up 6th Street. We're going to be pouring the west side sidewalks next week. We'll be pouring the east side sidewalks between J and K beginning next week. So we'll be looking to maybe open that up about 2 weeks south between J and K, and then we'll maybe about another week we'll open up Italy. So we are making progress. It is working well. I do appreciate the business owners and property owners' support on everything. As far as J Avenue, we've moved out of, contract is moved out of the west side between 6th and 5th, and they are now working on the buildings between 6th and 7th. And construct is now moving in on the west side to start prepping for paving. Hopefully, by the time they get done with, say we get done with 6th Street, we'll just roll over and start working on J Avenue. So, we are making progress. Things are going pretty well. So, thank you.
Okay. Anything for Sean before we go to Tim? Okay, Tim?
I would just say back to talking about the shelter, we had the insurance adjuster in today, so that process has started. And we had a little bit of damage at Arrington, and got all that process started. And it's other than that, obviously it's not the week that anybody expected. We have the week next week that we thought we were going to have. So, we've got a great staff. They switched gears immediately. Fortunately, compared to a lot. So, if you see something, hear something, or need something addressed, reach out to us.
That's not anything for Tim. And Marla said she doesn't have a report. She's just spending all of her time communicating. So Shanna is online. Shanna, do you want to provide a report?
Sure. Just a couple of extra things in addition to my written report is that we had a survey out on Facebook and so we're looking to you know me?
You're breaking up a little bit, Shanna.
Maybe? Okay. Well, I don't know that I can help that. So I'll just keep going. And if it goes through, cool. If not, well, that's the way technology goes. But we're looking at expanding our curbside hours starting August 24th, potentially. Travis is also reaching out to schools to see how we can support them as the school year starts. And we're wrapping up summer reading right now. And so I guess let's go with those are the main things. So maybe I won't break up and maybe you got that.
Okay. Anything for Shanna? Okay, then we'll go to Rick.
I was contemplating whether I should bring this up or not, but I decided I probably should let you be aware of this. On Monday, when we had the storm and everything was going on, our really expensive radios and radio equipment did not work. It was terrible. And it was very frustrating because I could hear officers on the radio and I couldn't, and I called them and they couldn't hear me. There was a lot of issues and I've been working with the Sheriff's Office and Story Town to get through all that. And it was all due because of the storm. And when they were able to pinpoint what the problem was, they couldn't fix it because it needed power to get fixed. So that was very frustrating. And I I have to give my guys a lot of credit. I called in several officers, a lot of who was already working. And we all went to the fire department. Ray divided all his people up all over town to take care of things. We did the same thing with the police department. And some officers had cell phones that worked and some didn't. But it all worked out well, and we were able to do our job. We were able to do things that we needed to do. But it was very frustrating. And I know that Storytown was working with Harris Radios today. They had a meeting to try to resolve the current issues and to figure out what do we need to do to prevent this from happening again. Because we're going to be on our current temporary system for probably another year before the permanent system is in. And while it's unlikely we have another situation like we had on Monday, we still have to prepare for that. Just want you to kind of be aware of it in case you hear anything about it. I'm sure it's going to be an expensive patchwork that we're going to have to do. That's all on Storytown and the contract. So we're just buying the services right now, so we don't have to do any of the expensive part. But if you talk to Ray or any of the firefighters, they'll tell you the same thing. They were very frustrated, and when we have firemen inside a burning structure, they can't communicate. That's a very dangerous situation, and we want to make sure that that does not happen. Other than that, we're just picking up the pieces and moving on.
Rick. Thanks, Rick. Karen?
Well, our phones made it through the storm, but they didn't today. They died today. Our line got cut. So I'm not sure. We've had a call in, a ticket made, but I don't know how long that'll be. Other than that, we're also working on a resolution to do the COVID expenses through the state too. So that'll be probably at the next council meeting.
Terry.
Well, Sean brought you up to date on the downtown project, and I haven't seen it for a while. I actually got out for a vacation for a week, and I understand that Sean's finally going to get out of town. One thing that I wanted to bring you up to speed on is the wastewater treatment facility. And I think Mike Roth just sent out an email to the committee that we're scheduling a meeting on the 90% plans. Now, that means we're getting really, really close to the finish line on that. And what has developed in the last couple of months is the concept to split the project down into two phases, plant and the trunk line. But actually break it into three phases, which would be breaking the plant into two different projects. One would be, the first one would be the grading of the whole site. And the second would be the actual construction of the plant. The reason behind that is to maybe reduce the overall cost of the plant construction to allow more Iowa contractors to bid that. If we go out there with a $40-some million plant, it may exceed the bonding capacity or simply the construction capacity of the Iowa contractors. So we're going to try to break the plant construction into those two phases. And with the hope of letting the grading contract this fall. So hopefully the construction could begin either this fall or this winter. Worst case scenario, they hit it early in the spring. And then the second contract for the plant could actually be let this winter for construction to start early next year. All of that is somewhat dependent on getting construction contracts from the DNR. But even if that's delayed and these lettings are delayed, we're still quite a bit ahead of schedule. The end date to get everything completed is the end of 2023. As we've been telling everyone, the DNR, PERC, and everyone else. But if we can beat that deadline, we'll try. So anyway, that meeting will be coming up soon, and then shortly thereafter, we can complete the plans and be done with it. Big project, big undertaking for the city. About the only thing, I had something else, but anyway, there's some minor things we're working with Sean on. John Hall mentioned all the things that are happening. You know, we've got the Southland subdivision ready to go, the West Avenue industrial subdivision that Matt Runge is doing. Those plans are approved and ready to go. There's another one on the 6th Street industrial subdivision, Plat 1, another one that Matt Runge is doing. We're reviewing those plans, and then Mid-State site plan for their second building addition quicker than I think probably even what they planned earlier. But a lot of good stuff happening in the community, and everything's coming along pretty good. So I take any questions that you might have. Thank you.
All right. Aaron?
Nothing for me.
Okay. That takes us to adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Okay.
Nate and Jason, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Didn't even open the second one.